Okay, I think it's high time we started adding some colors. So let's give this mug a somewhat, well, glass color, of course, what else? And we don't want it to have any stroke. So I'll make the stroke active by pressing the X key. I'll make sure it's active. And then I'll hit the slash key to remove it. Now guys, I know that I might be using some techniques that you're not too familiar with, or my style of working with Illustrator is a bit different from what you're used to. So again, I highly recommend you taking a look at my Design Logos Learn Illustrator course, where I explain my techniques in greater detail. Okay, so the beer has to have a beer color, because otherwise it would just be an empty promise, right? So let's give it a nice orange color, and let's get rid of the stroke as well. Okay, so the next step would be creating the foam, and I will do that easily with the help of the ellipse tool, which I will activate by pressing the L key on the keyboard. Well, now it's just a matter of creating 3 or whatever number you want irregular ellipses. So I'm going to create 1, and the second one, and the third one. And again, we could spend the whole day making them look prettier and prettier, or reposition them over and over again, but I'll leave it to you. I want to show you the techniques, not, I don't know, 10 hours of looped clicking. These 3 guys have to be united, so we will do that with the Pathfinder tool. I'll select all of them, and in the Pathfinder tool I'll choose Unite. The foam will have a nice colorful fill, and no stroke, of course, no stroke. Now we will move to the trickiest part, which is the shadow of the foam. Wow, the shadow of the foam. Did you hear that? Well, that sounds a little like title of a B-class horror movie. Yeah, okay, back to the design. This is a part where when you might feel tempted to use the drop shadow effect without blur, but that's not a good option, because the shadow would go off the mug, which we don't want. So I will simply select the foam shape and copy it. I will paste it in back by using the Control B command, which is like going to the Edit menu and selecting Paste in back, which pastes the shape directly under the foam. Now I can move it down a bit and give it a dark orange color. Okay, so now the most difficult part, which won't be that difficult thanks to my techniques. We of course don't want the shadow to go out of the mug, so to speak, so we need to clip it, so it fits nicely. And the easiest way to do this is by using the Layers panel, so let's move to that. When I twirl open my beer layer, you can see that I got different shapes here. I got the foam, well, its shadow, the mug, and the beer. So I will clone the beer shape by dragging its sublayer onto the new layer icon, and I'll move it over the foam shadow. We did all that because now the top beer shape will act as a clipping mask and clip the foam shadow that is below it. So I will select them both and go to the Object menu, choose Clipping Mask, Make. But I usually go for the Ctrl+7 shortcut, and yeah, and there we go. We got the shadow nicely clipped. Let's now take care of these 3 rectangles, these indentations. Again, I'll grab the rounded rectangle tool, create one, just like so. I'll play a bit with the roundness of the corners. I'll give it a color, and I'll just clone it to the right by holding down the Shift and Alt keys. And then I'll hit the Ctrl+D shortcut to duplicate the last transformation, which would be the same as going to the Object menu, Transform, and choosing Transform again. I'll position these guys, well, roughly in the center. And there we go. We got the flat design beer icon ready. The last thing to do now is to add the background, which we will do, well, again, with the ellipse tool. I'll create an ellipse, reposition it, and I'll copy it and paste it in front. The second ellipse will, of course, be our shadow, so I will double click on it to enter isolation mode. And with the direct selection tool, I'll select the left anchor point, delete it, and hit Ctrl J on the keyboard to close this open path. Now I'll hit escape, and what I'll do now is I will move the circle background all the way to the back of the stack, and I'll do that by going to the Object menu, Arrange, and I'll choose Send to Back. Now, to finish the whole icon off, we'll add color to the background, and it'll be this blue color, and this big shadow will have the darker blue fill. And I'll change its blending mode to soft light here in the transparency panel. And there we go. It wasn't that easy. Well, it's because I make it easy, and you will see some more simple and spectacular effects in other videos. More flat icons are still to come, so stay tuned.